In September 2020, a legislation was passed by Parliament in the United Kingdom to what is the future of a country, a great country like Britain. Your child will some way, somehow hear it from a friend. And she was like, sis, I've taken all my children back to Ghana. Nobody corrects anybody's child. And it's usually the black children or the Gen Z generation, whatever they call it. It was like a wake up call for me. Sometimes she goes 5 days without seeing her children. Social service comes to her house every fortnight to check her child. She said, Mommy, I want to become a boy. Relationship and sexual education. Hi guys, welcome or welcome back again to my YouTube channel. I hope everybody is doing well. There is this video I've been wanting to do for the past 7 months, and I only had the courage to talk about this publicly. First time ever I have spoken about it to people within my circle. I mean, my immediate family, my partner, my friends who are within my circle. But this is the first time I'm publicly talking about it, and it's been 7 months now. I just feel like I am mentally and physically ready to talk about this topic. And also, I saw a post from Rishi Sunak and the Home Office Secretary on TikTok, I think on BBC, yes, where they were talking about this same topic. And that is what prompted me to kind of like, okay, master the courage to eventually also to talk about it.
It also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
If you are new to my channel, my space, hi, my name is Becca. I'm a migrant. I'm originally from Ghana, and I'm practicing in the United Kingdom as a registered nurse. So a little bit of background for those of you who do not know me or might be coming across my channel for the very first time. I came to the UK over 3 years ago, and I only brought my kids to the UK after 2 years after I came. But when this incident happened, she was 5 years old, yeah. So there are certain things that nobody prepares you for. And some of these things are parenting in diaspora. A lot of times you hear or see people taking their kids back in Africa, back in Asia. And I'm being specific about the Asian and African community, or the black community and the Asian community here in diaspora. I don't know if it happens in America, Australia, or any of the first class countries, but in the UK, it is what it is, okay? And one thing I've realized that nobody prepares you physically, mentally, especially if you are bringing your kids over. There are a lot of conversations, a lot of things that people who are already here or who are mothers who do not tell you. And most of the times, people bring their children here and they lose them to the system. And when I talk about losing them to the system, it's not just physically losing them to foster homes or them being taken away from you to foster homes, but it also means emotionally being detached from your child, physically not being there for your child, because the system is designed in such a way that if you don't work, you can't make ends meet. And to work, you must leave these children to go to work. And I know somebody I personally work with who have not seen her. Sometimes she goes 5 days without seeing her children. Meanwhile, she lives in the same house with these children because she works long day. She has to leave home as early as 6 o'clock. The shift starts at 7:15, and she doesn't drive, so she has to use the public transport. 6 o'clock, the kids are not awake. The shift finishes at 8:45 p.m. She gets home past 9 to 10. By the time she gets home, the kids are asleep. And because she has to do overtime, she will be there for long. I mean, like 5 days, she's doing overtime. So for those 5 days, she's doing those shifts in a week. She doesn't see her kids at all. Thank you for everybody for my previous video I did concerning the fact that I almost lost my child to safeguarding, or I was sent to safeguarding. I almost lost my child. It's an old story anyway. It happened in July. We've all gotten over it, my family, everybody. But I just felt like creating awareness on here And for those of you who came to my inbox, a lot of people have related. I have friends who currently are going under it, like social service comes to her house every fortnight. So every 2 weeks, there is an assigned social worker that comes to her house to check her child and everything. Is traumatizing. But if you are well informed, if you're pre-informed, you know how to make your move. Now, in April this year, so my kids came to join me in December last year. They started school in January. And then in April, my child came to school. She came from school one day, which is my little one. She was 5 years by that time. She was in reception. She came back from school one day. She said, Mommy, I want to tell you something. I said, Go on. And there is this thing that I have formed with my children. I have formed a bond. I've formed a kind of friendship with my children in such a way that they don't see me as their mom all the time. I mean, they know I'm their mom, but we have this kind of friendship. They've become more like my sisters, basically. And I've done this because I want them to feel free to talk to me anytime, to tell me anything that baffles their mind. Because I realize that here the system is different. You cannot, you know, scream on a child and expect it to happen. The child would rather be tough, and you might end up losing your child to bad company. And one thing I learned from my parents, one parenting skills I learned, especially from my father never beat me when I was a child. He never, ever for once laid his hands on me. He never screamed on me, ever. But I love him so much. And I never went against his word. In fact, I was so scared to even go against his word because the love saturated me to the extent that I was scared of losing his love. So because of that, anything he says, I will do it. And that is what I've incorporated in my kids. I've loved them so much. I give them everything they want so that they will get scared of losing that thing. Because if you now go against my word, if you disrespect my word, I take all those privileges away from you. And that is one parenting skill that has helped me a lot here in diaspora. So my child came from school one day and she told me, Mommy, I have something to tell you. And I said, Yes, go on. She said, Mommy, I want to become a boy. Initially, I thought she was just joking. She said, Yes. I said, But you're a girl, you're a pretty girl. What has inspired you to think that you have to change your sexuality for society to accept you or for you to be happy with who you are or who you were designed originally to be? She said, two reasons. Number one, because she was told in school that it was okay for her to change her sexuality to become a boy if she doesn't feel like she wants to become a girl again. And then number two is because I don't have a male child. So she wants to become a boy so that she's the boy in the house. When she said this, a mixture of shock and everything ran through my spine. I didn't know they were taught this in school. If I'm being honest, I didn't know they were taught this in school. So I went back to memory lane and I remembered that they sent me a school curriculum for reception, and one of them is called RSE, Relationship and Sexual Education. So I took my time to read it properly, and as part of it, they were being taught LGBTQ or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that. They were being taught that as early as reception. So I took my time to go through the curriculum. I went online and I realized that in September 2020, a legislation was passed by Parliament in the United Kingdom to say that moving forward, children from primary school up to secondary school were allowed to be taught this relationship and sexual education, which included families, LGBTQ families, and sexual orientation. So the child is given that freedom and liberty to change their sexuality as early as from that reception stage up onto secondary school. Now, I don't personally have a problem if you tell my 10-year-old child this. I don't really care because I feel like children at that age are a bit sensible. They know what they are going into, even if they are not adults. They know what they want and what they don't want to an extent. But to teach a child in reception year one, year two, which is from 4 years to 8 years, these kind of things, I don't know where we stand as a society. And after I went through this motion, I don't know what the faith or the future of United Kingdom is going to be. I tell you what, before my kids came, I go out a lot at night, like from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. We go out, hang out with friends. And if I tell you things that I have seen in this community, in the young people, I ask myself, what is the future of a country, a great country like Britain? Now, even Catholic schools are teaching this. I don't blame the schools because it is the curriculum and it's compulsory. Okay, it's compulsory for this to be taught in schools according to the legislation. You can opt out to say that I don't want my child to listen to such conversations because it distresses them. However, even if you don't allow your child to join these classes, your child will some way, somehow hear it from a friend. Mm. What I did is that after that conversation, I was so happy. In fact, at first, I was very upset that my child was exposed to this. But after she told me this, I was very happy that she opened up because it prompted me or it gave me an idea of how to channel my teachings towards my children. There is everything that you can do, but it's not anything that is acceptable. It's not everything that you have to follow. The fact that you've been told A doesn't mean A is what you should do. I remember when my kids first came here, they asked me, Mommy, why don't you smoke? Why don't you drink? Why don't you have tattoos? And I don't have any disrespect for anybody who is doing that. In fact, I have got friends who are transgender. I have got friends who have got tattoos, who drink, who smoke. It's their life, and I absolutely respect that. But I told my children that it's not everybody that is designed to live like that. Same way, it's not everybody that's designed to live a boring life. But I feel like those that are doing that, they are grown. They are adults. They understand what they are doing practically. Mm. This legislation was launched in 2020. So before then, everybody that was taught this was taught in high school. In high school, a child is a young adult. They know what they want. They know how to decipher information. They know what information they're going to accept and which one to reject. But a child in reception, that child is still very stupid. Excuse my language. That child doesn't know right from wrong. That child accepts everything. So as parents, we have a duty of call here. We have a duty of condo. And is that let's spend time with our children. Let's spend quality time. A lot of African parents are taking their children back home. Sometimes when you are not in the soup, you blame people. You are quick to judge people. A friend of mine, through her, I brought my kids because we were good friends. We all had our kids back in Ghana before we came. And when she was getting ready to bring her kids, she rang me. She was like, Sis, don't you think it's just about time we bring our children over? I was like, I'm not ready. I wanted my little one to be like 6 years or 7 years before I bring all of them. And I didn't want to bring one child before another. So I was like, I'm not ready, sis. But she was like, no, sis, let's do this for our kids. Why are we here struggling if we can't give our children a decent life? So she started her children's process. She did their papers and everything, and then she brought them here. So she motivated me kind of. I was like, okay, sis, since you've done it and it's working for you, let me also do mine. So she brought her mom with the kids. They were two, and she was expecting another child. Now, after she did her process, the kids came over. I also started mine. If I started mine while she was also on hers, so I was asking a lot of questions when I was doing my application. So my kids also came in December. And after that, it's been a long time since we spoke. After that, January we spoke. We've not spoken until August this year. So I rang. I was like, sis, it's been a long time. How are you coping? Catching up with parenting and all that work and blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, sis, I've taken all my children back to Ghana. So the two children that she brought and the one that she has just delivered, who is like 4 5 months, she has taken all the three of them back to Ghana with her mom. And I was like, sis, why? And the reasons she gave me, I realized that it was valid, was genuine. It's not everybody that can stand some of these things to see that your child is in a society where they are so exposed that if you don't take your time to sit down as a mom, as a dad, I know parents, couples who live in the same house with their children, they don't know their children. And here is a kind of society where somebody does not correct your child for you. You know, like back in Africa, when your child is doing something silly outside, yeah, your neighbor can see your child and reprimand or tell the child off and come and tell you that I saw your child doing ABC. Have a talk or sit your child down to talk to them. Even your neighbor can even punish your child for you. But here, nobody corrects anybody's child. So it's either you see your child doing that, doing something wrong, and you correct them yourself, or your child is like that and they grow. Recently, just last week, my first daughter came home and told me, Mommy, there is this child that one of my children was playing with in school, and I don't think she's a good friend for her. I was like, why do you think so? When she told me the things that the child is doing in the school, and it's usually the black children. And I've come to realize that it's because most of the times we are working our butts off for the children because we are working so much. I'm not saying don't work, but you know that small time that you have with your child, let it be quality time. Open doors for your children to talk to you. Have conversations with your children. Losing your child doesn't mean that social services is always coming after them, but you will lose your child to bad company. Guys, forgive me for lying down and doing this video. It doesn't look like I am serious, but I really am. It's just that when I'm talking about topics like this, I don't have the energy to sit down. I feel faint. I feel sorry. I feel scared for this generation that is coming up. And I feel like as parents, you know, this generation that is coming up is called a Gen Z generation or whatever they call it. I believe that as parents, we should max up our parenting skills. We should make our children our first priority. Again, we should make them our friends. We should pray with them. We should talk to them. Let them learn firsthand from us. I tell them, I always give them the consequences of every action. If this is what you've chosen to do your life, these are the consequences. Are you ready for it? So for my little one, after she told me that, I asked her, are you ready to be a man? Do you know what it takes to be a man? She said no. I said, well, to be a man is hard. You are fending for family. You are fending for wife. You are fending for children. You are going out working hard. Life is not easy for a man. Is that what you want to be like? You don't want to live a soft life. You don't want to look up to a man, to spend a man's money, to live a soft and baby girl life. You want to be a man. You are not born like that. That is not what God has created you for. So be in your feminine energy. Enjoy your feminine energy. And she came to understand. I had to sit her down, talk to her. It was like a wake up call for me. I went and looked into the legislation. And the only reason why I now have the boldness to talk about this is because Rishi Sunak said that he believes that children should be taught that a boy should be a boy and a girl should be a girl because that is how it has designed to be. For first time in a long time, I have heard somebody made this valid comment. I am not saying the children should not be taught this. They should be taught, but let's be mindful of the age that we teach these children some of these things. Because of this, a lot of immigrants' parents are taking their children home for education until they are grown or matured enough to understand certain things before they bring them abroad. So if you see somebody taking their children back home, please don't judge anybody. Let people live their life. It's not everybody that can have the liver, to keep up. If you are not lucky and you have a child who does not listen, the child, and you know the funny thing, when the kids go to school, they can tell them, if you feel like you are not safe at home, talk to an adult in school. So the moment you are a parent and the child does not feel safe with you, that is it. You will lose your child physically and emotionally. Your child will be in the house, but it's not communicating anything with you. But they are living their own life elsewhere. My daughter told me something about her colleagues. Some things these children do on break. And the system allows them, they will tell the child, if you want to be masculine and you come to school, you are wearing a feminine dress, you can change into a boy dress. It's not because the teachers want to do it, but it's because it's a curriculum they are mandated to teach. I was speaking to one of my Ghanaian sisters about this same topic. And then she was like, as for me, in my house, we never talk about this. It's forbidden. It's forbidden. I said, sister, I understand it's forbidden. But what I want us to understand is that it's better for you to have this open conversation with your children so that you know their stance on this topic, so that it guides you as a parent, as a mother, as a father, to know how to tune your child towards. Because if you pretend it doesn't exist, meanwhile it does. If your child does not hear from you, and they go and hear it from another person, and they fall into bad company, you are done. So I want to tell you that whether you like it or not, these things are happening. My child was taught something in school about this same RSE, topic. And that particular topic they were talking about was about sexuality, femininity, adolescence, and whatever. After the topic, they were told that if you feel like you want to discuss further with an adult, you can talk to any adult. It doesn't necessarily need to be your parents, it can be anybody. So my child came home, and usually when they come home, we just sit down like a recap of whatever has happened in school. They just tell me the curriculum, things they learned, basically what happened, what they are not happy about, what their concerns are. They also ask me how my day was at home. We just generally vibe. So she told me that this is what they were taught in school. She gave me the handouts that they used to teach them. She handed it over to me, and then after everything, she told me that they said they don't really necessarily need to tell their parents about it in case they have any challenges like that. So I asked her that in case you have any challenge, who will you talk to? She said, I don't know. Imagine this my child that tells me everything. Now she says she doesn't know because she's confused now. She doesn't even know who to talk to. I had to remind her that, listen, that is why I'm here. I'm the adult here. Talk to me if there is anything you don't understand. So I took the syllabus, I went over it, I restructured everything, and made her understand what she needs to understand. The schools are doing a good job, the teachers are doing a good job, but when the thing is mandatory and it's been put in the curriculum, the school and the teacher does not have any right to overrule it, and that is why they are forced to teach some of these things. But what I know for sure is that your child spends only 6 hours in school in 5 days a week, and then they come home. The rest is left for you as a mother, as a father. The couples that live together, you are living together, husband and wife, you don't have time for your children, you don't talk to your children. The remaining is left for you as a parent to do your due diligence, sit your child down and teach them the way, teach them your culture. Otherwise, you sleep and wake up one day, you have lost your child without knowing. Meanwhile, you lost that child long, long, long time ago, not today. So let's have time, let's spend quality time. It's not about the quantity, the number of days you are with your children, but that small time you have with them, let it be quality. Draw your children to you in love. Show them affection so that no society can rip them off and tell them or teach them to become something that you do not want them to be. Yeah. So back to the issue of my child. Now she has come to understand that this is it. You have been taught does not mean that you should take. Anything that they put in your mind is not what you have to accept. So I made it a point that every day after school, we do a recap of what happened in the day. Whatever is unacceptable, I don't want them to hear. I tell them to take it out of their mind, and I tell them the right things or the culturally right things that I want them to understand. And also don't forget to pray for your children. There are a lot of things that will not come on social media to talk about because it raises a lot of controversy. But as a parent in diaspora, remember to pray for your kids, pray for your family. People are losing their families. It's not everything that we'll talk about. People are losing their families to the system. So know the system. Take your time to read legislations, read rules and regulations, read culture concerning children, and do your best as a parent to mold your children to become responsible adults. I feel like bringing this video to an end here. Thank you so much for watching this video, for constantly coming back to the channel, and until we meet again in my next video, guys.